spoken word, just everything that you brought, just beautiful culmination. It tied perfectly into the theme of tonight. And I find you so fascinating. You're so poised, but you have so much to give. What is that thing that I guess switches you on to do what you do, to connect with people, to help them to find their own narrative, to help them to shine in their own lives? What is it about that makes you, yes?
It's really interesting. I think the things that you are drawn to, or the gifts that are laden within you, are the things that you wish you had experienced in life. So my experience is coming to Australia at 6 months old, growing up here, going to school, and in many cases being the only one. And so that experience was quite interesting. My parents are Ugandan. They're Banyankole, which is a tribe which is in southwestern Uganda, and very intelligent, articulate, proud people, and very loving. When they came here though, they had to start again, so they had to hustle. So they spent a lot of time working. And so they didn't particularly have a lot of time to invest in sharing stories about their upbringing, about their culture, my culture, about our lineage. They were busy trying to survive. And so I would go to school, and at that particular point in time in Australia, the only narrative that was being told on a broad scale about Africa had to do with 40-hour famine.
Right.
Everyone's starving. Everyone that comes to this country who comes from that background, has nothing to begin with, which is very different from my parents' experience. So they're very educated, they had fantastic jobs, they had fantastic life, really, but they had to leave. And so for them, they came. My mum is a doctor. Her qualifications weren't recognised. She had to go back and study.
It's amazing.
Yeah. My father, accountant, he was very much in the same boat as well. And so they have a work ethic, and were used to having to work very hard for what they had. The only difference now is that they were doing it with 4 children under 7. So life was very busy for them. And as a result, they didn't have any family. We're still making a lot of connections with friends and community, and so we were put into care whilst they went out to work. And we were in a situation, as I said beforehand, we're the only one, with people who were ignorant to the experience. And so things were done a little bit differently at home than I guess what would be considered traditional Australian way of doing things. And you get to understand that very quickly. And I got used to observing and sitting back and listening and working out how to be a chameleon and learn how to fit in.
Because that's the aim, right?
That's the aim of the game. The faster you learn how to assimilate, the easier life is going to be. And I think one of the issues that I faced was not understanding the difference between assimilating to be able to fit in and survive, and confusing my identity, or hiding aspects of my identity in order to do that. So as I grew up, I was constantly told who I was by other people. People would ask questions which would center around, your English, where are you from? Your English is so good. So mind you, I was here from 6 months old. My English better be good if I'm being educated here.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Other questions like, you must be so grateful to be here, which is not necessarily a statement. The question was more of a statement. And I guess one of the most interesting statements that I've ever heard is, oh wow, you're so articulate. Your English is so good. When were you adopted?
Whoa.
Yeah, which was said in front of my mother, which was quite interesting. Interesting reaction to observe. So I think probably not even probably, most definitely, the reason why I'm so passionate about sitting down and listening to people's stories is because I had that experience where people would tell me who I was. And when you're young and you're trying to find your path and trying to find your way, and you're not necessarily hearing the narratives which breathe truth into your identity as a sovereign being through the perspective and the identity of the culture that you don't have a lived experience of. I find it really empowering to be in a position where if I see something or someone and I have an appreciation for the experience that I am currently living in that moment, because of communion with that individual through communication and them being vulnerable enough and expensive enough to share their experience with me, I will honour that.
Absolutely.
And I will encourage that to become more.
Yeah.
And that's just something that I think being able to speak your truth without fear of ramification is a gift.
It's a massive gift. Yeah. It really opens doors, I think, as you said, that it's like holding someone, walking them through the dark, right? You've been through it, so you're like a glowworm who has adapted and can see in the dark. And when you're able to hear their stories and help them and speak that life into them, you're leading them down a path that can be quite scary when you don't. 6 months, you were 6 months, you know, what else do you know but here? You know, so I mean, I was what, 8? So 8, you know, I had 8 years on you. But it's that experience of it's true. Everybody is telling you who you should be and the place that you should fit in order for this cog to keep spinning, you know? And you do it because you want to fit in.
That's right.
You accept those roles. And I mean, I was so much older before I realized it's not who I am. It's not who I have to be. I don't have to actually live in such a way that protects the feelings of people that are not me, because otherwise I'm labelled something. You know, there's so many things that a black woman who speaks her mind is labelled. that is just, it's almost ludicrous when it's happening to you. Like, what? But I got so used to
being gaslit.
That I went, you know what? It's not my fight. It's not my fight. And but hearing what you do, seeing the way that you present, just knowing you personally and knowing that, man, this is amazing. And I think of all the young, not just African kids growing up here, but kids of so many different ethnic backgrounds growing up here, this is the stuff they need to know, that you can unashamedly craft and own your own narrative.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And I think it's been an interesting space for me also, in the sense that I've got an Australian accent. Yeah. And so being asked, when I was younger, when I was asked the question, where are you from? I would get really frustrated at the question, because I thought, well, I'm from here, can't you hear my accent? You're too busy looking at my glorious mahogany to be able to make the connection that
melanin glow.
Exactly. I know, it's blinding. To be able to make the connection that I'm a product of this society. Also, on the flip side, when I would go back to Uganda, people would hear my accent and go, "Oh no, you're Mujungu.
Yeah, right.
You're not from here." So it took me actually traveling the world at the age of 26 and going to multiple different countries for me to be in a position where I felt comfortable claiming the narrative that I am a Banyankole woman, that I am a Ugandan Australian, and that I am a part of a beautiful tapestry of multinational, multicultural stories that have molded me. You know? And I look at my collection of people that I have around me, that are my insiders, my friends and my family. And it is a collection of different people from many different cultures, many different ethnicities, many different identities and backgrounds, and also sexualities as well. And I think it's a beautiful thing to be able to celebrate that and be able to see the glory of our magnificence and difference and celebrate that. You know, and just understand that there's more than one way to do life. And I've got these 2 little amazing humans now that are my children. So oh, they really are. They bring me so much joy, and the world is going to tell them who they think they are, because they are going to confuse people. By virtue of the fact that I am married to Australian, Filipino, French man,
Yeah.
and we've got these two beautiful children
Yeah.
that are the product of both of us, that are going to be able to claim multiple different narratives as a part of their ancestry,
Yeah.
and also many different nationalities as a part of their passports too.
Yeah.
And my one wish for them is to know that whatever room they enter into, they belong there simply by virtue of the fact that they made the choice to be there.
I love that.
And I, as their mother, I feel that my role is to be a custodian, to bring and breathe life and breathe unconditional love and confidence into their being,
Yeah.
you know, and to strip them of expectation, and to teach them to listen unconditionally to their own spirit's narrative.
Yes, amen.
And their own inner voice, above all else, and also above myself, as long as they feel peace and resonance with the messages that are coming through them.
Yeah.
You know,
Like
because the thing is, when you are yourself and you're unapologetically who you are, you confuse people.
Yeah, people
And
aren't
piss them off.
comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and that's okay, but it's not your job to make people comfortable.
Not at all. Not at all. I love that. I absolutely love that.